Planet X has been discovered and it can be seen by amateur astronomers. Here's the catch: some people disagree and get frightened easily. They get scared. So, not everybody can agree, and some people disagree, and that officially means by other people, their standards, it's not a planet, even though their standards would officially classify it as a planet, and that instead of 8 planets in our solar system, or 9, or 10, or 20, or 30, or 40, or 60, there are 110 planets in our solar system. Now, what makes a planet official? Well, according to the International Astronomical Union, their definition of a planet is an object that orbits the sun, has sufficient mass to be round or nearly round, is not a satellite, moon, or another object, has removed debris and small objects from around the area of its orbit. Now, that would demote Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Neptune, though, because they have asteroids in their orbit. And that's not my words, that's according to Stern. And he's argued in the past that the IAU definition excludes Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Neptune because they share orbits with asteroids. So that it's kind of an interesting spin, literally. Hello, what do you think about that? So check this article out. Object bigger than Pluto discovered, called the 10th planet. Yeah, the 10th planet, Planet X. But guess what? This article is from 2005, July 29th. Robert Roy Britt, space.com. Almost 13 years ago. And this is the discovery of Eris, which has been demoted to a dwarf planet, even though it's bigger than Pluto. And according to an article that came out 13 years ago, if you were an amateur astronomer and you had the right equipment, you had the right stuff, baby, you could actually pick up footage and see this planet. I mean, dwarf planet. I mean, Eris. I mean, highly concentrated swamp gas from Uranus. And since then, there have been discoveries of dozens of planets, hundreds of planets, that because they put a specific number on the object, then it takes away even the psychological impression of it being a planet and having no effect or consequences on you. And I feel that everything that orbits the sun, everything that interferes with our planet and the star's light, these giant objects, these planets, these beings, these entities, these stars, everything that we see in the heavens, these giant galactic characters, whatever name you want to label them as, have an effect on our consciousness, our subconsciousness, our spirit, our bodies, our physical manifestations, all of the above. And the technologies are showing discoveries of all these new planetary objects. And the way that Pluto was demoted, once again, being highly controversial. I want to share a little bit of that with you in just a moment. But let's take a look at the orbit of Eris and the perihelion, the aphelion or aphelion. You can see right here, it still is at 37.911 astronomical units away. So times that by 93 million approximately miles. That's a long way away. But it's got this weird axis, this very strange orbit of about 558 years. And with where it's located now, how much effect will that have on our planet? And then all these other planets that they've recently released information on with a specific model number. So you don't want to classify it as a planet. You're like, oh, that's the new model number VR2736 Alpha Delta 149. Go, go, go. See the orbit on that thing? Woo, woo, woo. It's exciting. So physical characteristics. This thing's bigger than Pluto. And it's interesting how Mr. Brown, very incredible, genius individual, I'd love to have him on the show. You know, he comes out and demotes Pluto and then says, hey, look, but here's a planet that's bigger than Pluto, so let's call this a planet. And then other people say, no, well, you know, it doesn't have this specific sequence, number, frequency, alpha, numeric code. that you lock it with, even though I'm being a little bit sarcastic here. But if you were to take the data that they say would classify planets as planets, there would be over 100 planets in our solar system. Now, here is the article, the Johns Hopkins University. Read all about it. Scientists make the case to restore Pluto's planet status. This came out last year, March 16th, 2017. Arthur Hirsch, Johns Hopkins University scientist Kirby Runyon wants to make one thing clear. Regardless of what prestigious scientific organizations say to the contrary, Pluto is absolutely a planet. And then it goes on to say, by the classifications of several of these scholars, over 100 planets, 110 planets, are in our solar system. So it needs to be reclassified. That's very interesting. Now, scientists discovered more than 100 planets in our solar system. I originally found this article in the New York Post. Then I found the white paper, Hopkins University. Now let's take a look at some different orbits of these different planetary objects. You can see here orbiting the sun, and you can see how far out they go. Some of these things are massive. And I am under the... not under the influence. Hello, not driving. Alcohol's very tough on the body. I'm not much of a drinker. But looking at these orbits and how big some of these objects are, and then the possibility of Planet 9 having a serious impact on our planet, a substantial impact that can be measured, as well as other planets in the solar system affecting other planets. What about that possibly being a binary star, some type of brown dwarf star, or even maybe smaller than that, but a binary star that we don't pick up with certain telescopes because of the light that it emits, the location, the orbit, but its mass and its effect makes me wonder that possibility. Now, looking at all of these orbits, you're going to see here a whole bunch of discoveries, and some of these planetary objects with the strange orbit, and I wonder what kind of stuff they're bringing with them, debris, etc., going as far out past the Kuiper Belt, some of these trans-Neptunian objects, bringing stuff back with them. What kind of opportunities do we have to look forward to in the future? And is that a big reason why a lot of these space weapons and this space race and these essays and hypothetical questionnaires, etc., is coming out discussing how to protect the planet from asteroids, comets, etc.? And then we could take this even further. How many of these planets or these planetary objects, these model numbers, have guests, have occupants? And then you can get into the Fermi paradox. It's funny, in the Fermi paradox, I'm going to share this with you later, they use Planet X as a hypothesis, or they use the hypothesis of a Planet X, I should say, having a life force that evolves 1 billion years before we do. And they make it through these stages of evolution, getting them to the point of type 2 civilizations, possibly even type 3 civilizations. So could there be life on these other planets? Could we have, in the past, visited, before cataclysms, maybe we had these technologies that were just as advanced for space travel as they were for creating structures like the Great Pyramids of Giza and Machu Picchu and Pumapunka and Göbekli Tepe. Did they travel to these planets? It's just fascinating. I think it's great. I'm really excited to see this information come out there. And it's also neat to think about the possibilities in reference to what's on these planets. Is there life? Will we make contact? When they get closer to our planet, will it be easier for them to travel to come visit us? Did Sitchin have some accurate claims in his tablets? And when I see these tablets that show these giant spaceships with Anu and little Enki flanking Anu, oftentimes, or just these ships that seem to be this icon that goes through multiple cultures, even the Egyptian cultures and many mystery schools, etc. It looks like a ship. It doesn't look like a planetary object. It doesn't look like a star. It looks like a ship. I mean, look at this. 2014 SR 349, 2013 RF 98. How are you going to remember this stuff? 2010 CR 106, and even Eris right here. This has like several different 136, 199. Also, I think 2003. There's another one. 2003 UB 313 because of the timestamp on it. So let me see here. Let's take a look at some images. This is a image of Eris. This is the area where it was discovered. And hey, I mean, if you back in 2005, if you would have read this article and you had a telescope, you could have picked up on this. I don't know if it's still available, but the name itself is the Greek goddess, or it means like discourse. Where's that here? So the most massive and second largest dwarf planet in the known solar system, Eris, was discovered. Team led by Mike Brown named Eris the Greek goddess of strife and discord. It's also the 9th most massive object directly orbiting the sun and the 16th most massive overall. And because several moons are more massive than the all-known dwarf planets, it is also the largest which has yet not been visited by a spacecraft that we know of. So I was going to show you something else here. Where's that? Here's some more data. We just look at it. All these trans-Neptunian objects, planets, swamp gas from Uranus. So it makes small loops in the sky. Here's the orbit. This is what I was looking for. Very bizarre orbit. Zoom in a little bit. It's eccentric, probably like you. A little bit different, yet very intelligent, just not following the normal orbit. I remember a vision I had when I was 19, and I was envisioning the planets and the stars like neutrons and protons and electrons orbiting an atom, and the nucleus, the inner core, like the sun, and then all these sparks of energy orbiting it, and then breaking that down into code. I was looking at the micro and the macrocosm. As above, so below. I was picking up on this 21 years ago at the age of 19. I was literally visualizing it and seeing it. And then you can ask yourself the question, do the stars in the heavens represent somebody's soul, their spark, their divinity that was given to them by the divine, by the capital G? And I think it's fascinating to think about. And I would like to thank you for watching. I'd like to welcome you to look at Noble Gold Investments. Make sure to support yourself and support our sponsor by supporting yourself. Check out Noble Gold Investments, ladies and gentlemen. If you've been watching the stock market and you've been seeing these crazy swings and you want to get into precious metals and you're not sure how, and you have a decent nest egg, you have a 401 IRA, and you're like, okay, how do I establish some of that into precious metals? Maybe you've heard about it before, you don't know how to do it. It's very easy to do. Call up the experts, Noble Gold Investments. Let them know Leak Project sent you. If anything, get the free books that they're offering to help you get out of the rat race. And I've had people ask me before, well, Rex, you show us these charts and these orbits and I get nervous about the future. Well, first of all, don't get nervous about the future. Embrace it. Be excited. Maybe prepare if you want to, if that's a possibility for you. So if you're looking for ways to have an opportunity to prepare and get out of the rat race, check them out. Noble Gold Investments. It's a great opportunity for you. Be excellent to each other. It'd be neat. One more thing I want to throw out there. If there's anybody that maybe got footage of Aries back in 2005 when it was visible, I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Send it in. leakproject@gmail.com. Got a few of these hats left. Mailing a bunch of them out tomorrow. So if you're one of the lucky ones that recently purchased a cap, just got back in Grandma's garage here. Hello. Feels nice and comfortable here. Grandma's garage feels great. Look at these paintings behind me. Will you just look at it? So we'll be mailing those out tomorrow. Also, if you do purchase a cap, send me an email, leakproject@gmail.com. I want to get you a premium membership, a year membership, leakproject.com. Over 1,600 podcasts, many exclusive to Leak Project. And also hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/clandestine Time Lord.